PTF in the bunker here for our third segment on the audio show and a standalone video that's going to drop, I don't know, maybe Wednesday. Very happy to welcome in a guest to talk about a topic I know she's very fond of, live long shots at the Breeders' Cup. She's coming to us in her lederhosen. She's shaking what God gave her. She's Michelle Yu. What's up, Michelle?
I feel like I really missed the boat here, and I should have put my hair in like pigtails and had like a big beer. Isn't this shirt great?
It's awesome. So I'm assuming that was Santa Anita recently had an Oktoberfest. Am I putting two and two together well? And if you're listening to the audio, you've got to go to the YouTube video just to drop a comment about how great Michelle looks in that shirt.
Yeah, Santa Anita we have an Oktoberfest last weekend and this upcoming weekend, and we're giving away these for ladies, and we've got like shirts with the lederhosen for the gents, although feel free to trade it around if you want. Believe it or not, Pete did don this on air.
That's amazing. I want one for each sex, and I will sport them both proudly. That's how we roll around here. We're here to talk about long shots, though. As much fun as it is to talk about Oktoberfest, as much as I wish we had big steins of beer as we were going, we're doing the YouTube standby here. We're going to count down. 5 from you, 5 from me. We're going to do an honorable mention before our top one. And I'll give you first honors, your first live long shot. And we're defining long shots as anti-post books in Europe. We're looking for 10-1 or higher, just so you have an idea of what long shot means in this context. Who do you want to talk about first?
Let's go with National Treasure. First of all, okay, so he's 14-1. This is the horse that was runner-up to Cave Rock in the American Pharoah. He was doing that just off of one race. I love the fact that he pressed Cave Rock, who we know is wicked fast, and he was able to stay, and he was much the best of the rest of the group. Now, who was chasing him? We don't know, obviously, but all I can do is say I think this colt should be able to move forward. If you don't think he can beat Cave Rock, but you can get 14, 15-1 like that, he's a nice underneath play, and I think that this is the right price for him. He's bred to run all day long. He's by Quality Road of a Medaglia d'Oro mare, so I just think that I thought that 2 turns was going to be right up his alley, and I think that he still delivered. Sometimes you just run into a freak of nature. That being said, the Breeders' Cup has always been, I feel like, a place that you've seen favorites go down in flames, and if someone's going to pick up some pieces, it could be National Treasure.
I think you make a very compelling case. I'll keep it with the 2-year-olds for my number 5. I'm really interested in Tyler's Tribe for the Juvenile Turf Sprint. This would be one of the stories of the Breeders' Cup, given that we're dealing with an Iowa bred going on the big stage, given the 20-year-old female jockey on his back. I don't know if he's going to like the turf. I don't know how he's going to class up, but I know that at double digits, based on the speed figures this horse has run, I will pay to find out. I'm definitely interested in Tyler's Tribe in the Juvenile Turf Sprint. I know you might have a little bit of an interest in that race too. You were hinting at off air.
Yeah, we're gonna pre-enter our horse into the Juvenile Turf Sprint as well. I don't know if he'll get in, but hopefully we do. He ran second in the Speakeasy to Speedboat Beach, who I think is going to be one of your favorites in there, and he's fast, super fast.
What's his name?
Halatic.
Yes, that was not a bad run at all behind, speaking of freaky fast horses in that Juvenile Turf Sprint. A couple of long shots to consider in that one. Let's go to your 4th selection on this live long shots list, Michelle.
I'm going to go to another Bob Baffert training because, hey, why not? And it's going to be Country Grammar at 25-1 right now. This, for me, Country Grammar is your 1.25 mile horse, right? I thought he was going to, maybe win the Pacific Classic if Flightline faltered and didn't like the distance. Obviously, Flightline relished the distance, and he gave us that Secretariat-like performance. But I know at least Country Grammar is the proven commodity when it comes to showing your A game at 10 furlongs. That's something that Flightline's going to have to prove, is that he can ship somewhere, do this somewhere else. He's always run out of his own stall, and he's so lightly raced. I mean, Country Grammar's gone all the way to Saudi Arabia and to Dubai, and he's brought his A game. So I know he can get on a plane and bring it. So for me, at 25-1, Country Grammar in the Classic.
Hey, don't sell that Met Mile of Flightlines too short there. He did pretty well shipping that day, but I do take your point.
I love the 4 horses he beat. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, but we have these things called the clock and the eyes that help us in these situations. Look, you still raise a good point. It's going to be the toughest test of his life by far, and he's going farther than ever. If you want to take a shot, that is a big number on Country Grammar. I cannot disagree with you. I'll go back to the juvenile ranks for my fourth pick in this, with a horse that folks who are longtime listeners to the podcast know I've been a fan of for a long time. And the winner is this cleverly named son of Oscar Performance. Big things have been expected for a while. And the last day, big things were delivered at Keeneland. I was just very, very impressed. Looked to me like a classic case of a horse who's always had talent, where the penny maybe has dropped and he's taken it to a new level. And I know you were surprised when he was even eligible for this list and was as long as 12-1 as he is now. But I do think you might still get 8, 10, 12 on the day when all the Europeans show up for this race. And this may not be a race that they have a stranglehold over. I take it you like this horse a little bit too?
I do. Yeah, I think he's super cool. So I was surprised that you said he was on the 10-1 and above list.
All right, let's keep this conversation rocking with your third selection. Where do you want to go here?
My third selection is Blue Stripe. So we're going to head over to the distaff. I certainly think that Todd Pletcher has a stranglehold on this group with Nest and Malathat. But Blue Stripe is nothing to sniff at, right? She won the Clement Hirsch. She's been working super well. I think that she runs decently enough fresh. She is one of those horses that I think is just going to get overlooked. And every time she's overlooked, she runs a good race. Is she good enough to beat the two Pletcher horses? I don't know, but I know that she's going to come and she's going to throw down, and she's let good East Coast horses come to her before and she's defeated them. So Blue Stripe is 16-1 right now. And I think that you'll probably get a better price than that. She
looked overmatched in this race a year ago, but she's gotten better since then. She's tough. She's a fighter.
We had the owner on our podcast on the Owner's Box, and he told us all the stuff going into like Breeders' Cup and everything, and why it's different now.
Yeah, that's great. Always worth checking out the Owner's Box, especially around this time of year for folks looking for a little bit.
Shameless plug. We also had the co-owner and trainer of Tyler's Tribe, if you'd like to learn about him.
Yeah. That was a great one. That was a great one as well. I was going to let you do the shameless plugging, but maybe I should have let you off the hook. I like the musical shameless plug. We might have to make a little, pot of that for the board over here and just.
Well, it's got to be like the Garth Brooks, like I'm shamelessly plugging my show.
Please create that for me. I'll play it all the time if you do. But the other key point about a runner like Blue Stripe and all these long shots we're talking about, these do not necessarily have to win to make you money. There are bets called the exacta and the trifecta and the superfecta, and a lot of people looking for numbers to put in. I can guarantee you're not going to hear too many podcasts where Blue Stripe is talked about, and I think it's a compelling case. I'm going to make a case for another horse that I am surprised is available at the prices she is, based on the quality that she's shown in her races all around the world. Another one that longtime listeners know I'm a card-carrying member of the Campanelle fan club. I just think based on her class and the things she's accomplished, the idea that she could be a double-digit runner, and it's not nuts. I mean, with all the money that Golden Pal's going to take, with the money that Highfield Princess is going to take, you could end up getting this runner among the classiest in the field, among the fastest in the field, at around 8 or 10-1. There's absolutely no way I'm allowing Campanelle to win a race like this and not cashing if she's any kind of price, and I suspect that's what we'll see. Do you have any early fancy in the turf sprint? How are you seeing it from this far out?
Golden Pal.
Is that much better in Kentucky? Is that the? Because I mean, I get that angle, and he looked very human in Saratoga, or very non super equine in Saratoga. And he went back to Kentucky,
mortal. He looked mortal.
Yes, and he looked immortal once again. But again, we can also get a little Ward exacta here and have it work out that way.
I'll take it.
Let's move on to your second selection here, Michelle. Where do you want to go?
I think we're at my fourth selection.
Well, I'm counting down. So this is.
Oh, you're counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh. Yeah, I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So.
Maybe you can just reverse the whole order then if you're doing this mentally. But we're just looking for interesting horses to bet.
This was not in any kind of preference anyway. So my next horse is Smooth Like Straight.
Love this.
I am a big fan of Smooth Like Straight. I think he always throws down. He doesn't always win, but he runs a lot of seconds and a lot of thirds. And I think the key is the mile. He was second in the Arlington Million. That's the last time that we saw him. I think bringing him back to the mile is going to be exactly what he wants. He's run super well in this race previously. He's 25-1 right now. I think he's like the forgotten horse. Everyone's like, where's Smooth Like Straight? And he's been training at Churchill, and he's been training great.
I love this horse, and it's just going to all be about pace for me. I mean, I loved him in the race last year, and if he can go out there and set nice, efficient fractions once again, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him run big. And I think he's another one that should be all of 10, 12 to 1 or higher, and maybe considerably higher, depending on which Euros come over. It certainly seems like Modern Games didn't miss a beat. He's planning on coming over. And then it also sounds like Kinross is going to be appearing in this race. So you're going to have a huge chunk of this market all eaten up by those 2 Euros. It's going to create value elsewhere. Maybe Smooth Like Straight is the place to land. I'll go to the sprint, and I'm going to take a shot in this race with Gunite. I like Gunite. I think the way that he finishes his races and the way that this race shapes up on paper, we have some huge questions this far out, not knowing if Jack Christopher is going to go here or the dirt mile. That's certainly an open question. Figuring out which version of Jackie's Warrior we're going to get, that's an open question. But Gunite has impressed me, and I feel like it could be the kind of year where, as it can be almost any year in the sprint, where that horse coming from just off the pace ends up having advantage over some of the theoretically faster individuals. Gunite for me in this one, Michelle.
I like it. He's so handsome too. I just love a handsome horse, and he's handsome.
Good looking devil, isn't he?
He is.
Before we get to our number one, and we've sort of already blown up the gimmick that we're just sort of putting these in random order, but to obey the template of the YouTube video, before you get to the number one, you do an honorable mention. And your honorable mention actually has a reason to be an honorable mention, because this horse, as of now, is not eligible for this list technically, because I'm not seeing any 10-1 internationally. But tell us where and why you went with this one.
So for me, it's in the juvenile turf, and it's Pax a Wallop. Right now he is 7-1, but like we've already said, I think when the Euros come over, he's going to be drifting up there. Everyone's going to say, oh, all he's done is win races in California, and they're just going to chuck him out. I think that this horse is super cool. To be quite frank with you, watching the bevy of Breeders' Cup win your in races and everything, all from like the first weekend or so at Santa Anita, Pax a Wallop to me was the only one I walked away saying that horse could really win. He has just a devastating closing kick. I think that he is relatively versatile. He's just gotten better and better, in my opinion. So I think the way he won that race, I was like, this horse is going to be competitive on the world stage. So Pax a Wallop, for sure, for me as a play. He's 7-1 right now, but could go higher. But still, even in this, anywhere in this wheelhouse, I love him. Except his name. I think his name is terrible. Like, it does not, like,
let's go around and tell him that. That's what I want.
I'm gonna call. I think Tim Cohen knows for. I'm gonna be like, why did you name him this? That's like not a horse. That's like, okay, here, I'm gonna read all my Triple Crown winners, right? And you're like reading all these names, and you're like, Pax a Wallop. Like, no, it's a claiming name. He's like outrunning his name for sure.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Well, I'll tell you this about Pax a Wallop. When I'm doing this work for attheraces.com, doing all kinds of contender profiles and things. And for the juvenile turf, I chose to do Pax a Wallop because I think he's an interesting story. I think he's more talented than you'd think at first blush. And I thought, especially for the international audience, good horse for them to be aware of. So I'm not too far behind you with that one. For my honorable mention, though, I went with an old favorite. And this is one of those angles where, football, college football, pro football bettors, they make a line at the beginning of the year for every game, right? And then obviously it changes as the season goes along. But there's sometimes signal in looking back to what did people think was going to happen in this week 8 NFL game before the season? Oh, then the Giants were, supposed to be beaten by 2 touchdowns. Now it's a pick 'em. Sometimes there's signal in remembering what it was supposed to be beforehand. That's where my angle is with this honorable mention. Clariere. This was a horse, I think, in the middle of the summer, you would have had ahead of Malathot on lists for this race, and you would have said is absolutely a serious contender. The price has gone through the ceiling, as now everybody not only falling over themselves to bet Malathot internationally in this race, but also, of course, Nest, her even more fancied, younger stablemate. What about Clariere, folks? Well, why can't she bounce back and do something special based on what we've seen from her in the past? Are you a believer at all? You love shooting me
I
down.
have actually never been a big Clariere fan, to be honest with you. I don't know. I've never been a huge Clariere fan. So I think you and I should go head to head, Clariere versus Blue Stripe.
I'll take that bet. Are you going to be there, by the way? What is your Breeders' Cup schedule?
I fly out the 30th of October.
Beautiful. Well, we'll have plenty of time. There's a hint. We may do a karaoke video. You up for some karaoke in Lexington?
Yes. Yes, I am.
All right. Monday's Halloween, a little Halloween dress up karaoke. You could wear your, I guess that's not Lederhosen. Lederhosen is the dude's version.
Yeah, I don't know what this is called. Bustier?
It's something. But back to Clariere for a minute. Obviously the personal incident didn't work out, but on the rail at Saratoga on a day when I didn't think that was great. I mean, she ran badly enough that maybe that's not an excuse. She also showed no speed, etc. But been working with Epicenter. She comes back to form. I wouldn't sleep on her too much in this spot. I don't think this race is as simple as the two Pletchers. We have our top picks each to talk about. Michelle, we'll give you the honor of going first.
The Riddler.
Now, a lot of USA audience isn't going to know who the Riddler is. So go.
Okay, so the Riddler won the Norfolk at 150 to 1 or something, right? He's quasi famous because he has a reverse question mark on his face. So you think about Batman and the Riddler. He then got beat. Now, he's kind of hit or miss, right? He either wins or he runs like crap. So I kind of despise that, but he is on a pattern to run well in the Breeders' Cup. If I'm not mistaken, they also are still not sure which race I think they're going to go in. Either the Juvenile 2 Sprint, which he did win a win and you're in into, but they might list the Juvenile Turf as first preference because they think he wants to go further. So either way, he's 16 to 1 for both races. And I think that this colt has a lot of talent. He's just got some mental issues and just needs, I don't know if he needs to be gelded or some blinkers or a shadow roll or a cheek piece or a new bit or just to go the opposite direction, something. And it's reminiscent to me of what was that Aidan O'Brien horse at Churchill that won? Navy flag or something.
U.S. Navy flag.
U.S. Navy, yeah, that horse. And Aidan was like, oh, he's just kind of green. We had to put some blinkers on him, and Aidan doesn't like to use blinkers, so it's a big deal. So, anyways, to me, this is just a horse that I feel has a lot of talent and just needs a little tweaking. And anytime you can get euros at good prices, you got to look at them, right?
It's not crazy. And I'll give you the two races. We'll say you get the 16 for either one with the Riddler. The Norfolk winning your in action for Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint at Ascot, where we had the opportunity to hang out. I was surprised. We made it into the Royal Enclosure and we weren't shot on sight. That was the real upset of the day. We got 150 to 1 on the Riddler. One more horse to talk about on this show, and it's my top pick. And this one I really, really like. Another one quite surprised to see listed at double digit in the markets, given she's the defending champion in the race. What about Cece for the filly and mare sprint? I feel like she's coming into the race the right way. She's proven she can do it. And, it's not an easy task to repeat in a race like this, but I'm a big fan, and there's no way she's being left off of my tickets. And I had to throw her out here for more than honorable mention. I'm really looking forward to seeing my old friend. And I like at the Breeders' Cup, it's one of the things I love about the Breeders' Cup. Where else, Michelle, do you get paper like Cece's that you can have a horse that could be 10 to 1 in a race?
I love it.
You don't see it, right?
But that's what makes it so fun, but also so hard, right?
It's true. It's true. It means the betting piece of the equation gets very complicated. And that's one of the things we're going to be talking about on our coverage here on In the Money Media as we get closer to the big event. That's all the time we got, Michelle. Any closing thoughts for the fans? You want to do a little dance one more time, or do you know what my go-to karaoke is? Oh no, I got to hear this. It's Eminem Without Me. Oh wow, that's ambitious. That is and no lyrics necessary. Thank you very much. I don't need lyrics for my karaoke. Turn them off. Let her go. All right. Well, we are definitely gonna try to figure this out. Whether it's will you be? Are you in late on the 30th or early on the 30th? That's the Sunday. Late. Okay, late. I don't know. Halloween karaoke with cameras rolling might be the thing. The costumes add a whole other element. Michelle, thank you so much for your time today. We'll be
Thanks,
talking.
Pete.